Hello everybody and welcome to the most prestigious event on the Formula Sim Racing calendar. This is the Monaco Grand Prix and it's World 7 of the World Championship. And today joining with me in the commentary box is none other than previous Formula Sim Racing World Champion and FSR legend Dennis Hirrle. And what are your thoughts on today's race, Dennis?
Hello Liam, and hello to everyone out there. It's nice to be back in the booth after some time of absence, some time of racing actually this year, but thankfully my team, the NetRex Grand Prix team, does allow my teammate Bruno and myself to sometimes just get away from racing if we don't feel like it, and Monaco has never been one of my favorite tracks, but still it is a prestigious Grand Prix, and certainly some drivers see it as the race of the year, so certainly it's something. It's going to be very exciting to watch today, and we have at the moment just the end of the free practice. Bono Huis, of course, is on P1 again. Frederick Nielsen on second, and Patrick De Witt in third. And Liam, it looks like Patrick, after a strong showing in Barcelona, is really getting to grips with the car lately.
Yeah, the fast and speed car's actually looking very quick. Of course, as you said, in Spain he had a very good showing and managed to split the two twister cars, and now he's right up there again. So we move into qualifying one now. It's a shootout now to just see who the top 10 drivers will be, and of course in Q2 the top 10 will all shoot out for pole position. So it will be very interesting. They're all about to get underway very shortly as the cars will queue up towards the end of the pit lane. Well, maybe Bono Huis isn't there actually. He's normally one of the first guys out, but it's Ase Kirchhoff who's the first man out of the pit lane and onto the track, climbing Sainte Devote now as he accelerates his twister up the hill. And Twister have also looked pretty good weekend. I mean, there's been quite a few drivers who, over the past few races, that you wouldn't normally expect to be fighting with the big boys, but they're actually showing some really good pace and definitely challenging for a definite podium, probably.
Yeah, and of course everyone, all the drivers and possibly a few of the fans at least, are waiting for Bono Huis' winning strike to be broken. He's won 6 out of the first 6 races, so this is round number 7, and we'll see what he can do here in qualifying. It should be a perfect track for Bono, looking at his driving style and looking at last year's result. And of course he won the Grand Prix last year, so but of course it's always tricky in Monaco. Lots of traffic obviously in the narrow streets of Monaco here, and I'm just looking at Bono there from my personal monitor, and he's got some traffic already right ahead of him, so Q1 is going to be difficult for all the drivers.
Yeah, and it's Bono is just trying to try and slow down through the final part of the track to let those guys in front of him get away, so he can have some clean air to try and nail that lap, because the last thing you want to do is be leading the World Championship and not make it into Q2. That would be an absolute disaster. So Bono playing it very smart, letting the guys in front just creep away from him so he can have some clean air to set a lap time. So how big do you reckon the factor of traffic will be during a qualifying lap? Can it really harm it that bad on a track like Monaco?
I think it can, because with the tyre situation this year in Q1, everybody's using the super soft tyres, and you don't want to ruin them on your warm-up lap, so you go very, very slowly. And of course, if a driver behind you is on a quick lap, it can be a problem for him.
Hey, it won't be. So they're all on track now, just desperating, trying to find an open space on track to slot their car to try and set a very quick lap time, and maybe even sneak into the top 10 for some of the guys. I mean, the top 10 is going to be very close now. I mean, you know, from around 9th to 13th place, I think all going to be separated by, well, a very slim margin. You know, you've got drivers like Rasmus Tali and Jack Keithley all wanting to try and make the top 10 and the massive shootout in Q2. But it's Frederick Nielsen and Ase Kirchhoff who go first and second, separated by 0.036. So barely any time at all there separating the two twisters, except now that Patrick De Witt is now in third place. He's 0.2 off of Fred's time, and then Bono Huis has just gone first at 1:10.1. And wow, that's 0.2 quicker than Twister. So as you said, Huis is looking very comfortable here today. So
yes.
Huis leads.
And that is the fastest time of the weekend, I reckon. 10.1 is a bit faster than what we've seen in the free practice just a few minutes ago. Huis is going back out on the track again, but it's typical. His first lap is usually his fastest of the qualifying session for some reason. So Huis in first, Nielsen second, Kirchhoff third, De Witt fourth, Moran fifth, Room 6th, David Dominguez in 7th, Conti in 8th, Saxon in 10th, and Parisius in 10th, Saxon in 9th, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so there's a really slim margin, 0.6 separate 10th and 11th. But that's what I mean. Mikko Pymäläinen in the Mac Corp hasn't set a lap time yet. He's on track at the moment, and he does a time now. Or beg your pardon, starts a lap now. So Pymäläinen's on track. Who else probably want to get up? Rasmus Sali, Jack Keithley, Mohammed Patel. After having a very successful week in the World Series, of course, winning this track. So he knows what it takes to be able to succeed here in Monaco and how to master the streets. But can he do it today or no in the World Championship is another question in that ATR Silver Line, but we'll find out very shortly. 5 minutes left of this session now, and it's still Bono Huis that leads the charge. And it's Jim Parisius who's on the borderline now in 10th. He's 0.5 quicker than Jaakko Mikkonen in the Ash Aero F1 car. So Mikkonen's changed team now, because I thought he was with Precision.
That is true, actually. It just, as you say that, I just see that as well, and probably have to find out what that is about as we proceed with the qualifying session. Hopefully we found out before the race, but we know there is a certain link between Precision and Ash Racing, because Jon-Erik Saxon has usually always been racing for Ash, although being a Precision driver. Mikkonen just runs over the chicane there in the harbour. Not sure if that was on his flying lap, but Pymäläinen is now in 6th place.
Yeah, and Reino Room is in 7th. And down to 8th now as Stephen Hirrle gets up there in the NetRex Grand Prix. So both NetRex Grand Prix drivers, Marco Conti and Stephen Hirrle, inside the top 10 at the moment. Just been pushed down as David Dominguez gets his Too Fast For You twister up there. So it's all very, very close at the moment. If you look at 10th and 11th, the gap is now 0.02. So that's a fraction of a second separating what possibly could be the start between a really good grid spot and a poor grid spot. That you want to higher up better, because grid spot's so important here in Monaco.
Certainly, it's much more important than on any other track. As just looking at Mikkonen there on his flying lap, he gets a bit of an awkward line through Mirabeau. He's through Lowe's now and is about to approach the tunnel, but he's 15th at the moment. That's not where he wants to be. Let's see if he can improve on that. 4 minutes left in Q1.
Yeah, so the running on Rasmus Tali's got himself up into 8th. So the teams in the top 10 at the moment are Precision, then the 2 twisters. David Dominguez, Too Fast For You twister. Patrick De Witt again performing very well. He's in 5th at the moment in the fast and speed. Morgan Moran's got his ATR Silver Line up, who again have looked very strong all weekend. Then the NetRex Grand Prix of Marco Conti, then both Mac Corp Racings and Reino Room's GT Omega. But Reino Room has an injury from a football match he played earlier, so he may not be at his best. So we might see a bit of premature Reino Room here. We might not see him at his best, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. And he should be okay, but only time will tell if the injury is long term. So,
while Mikkonen stays on P15 only, the drop-off time at the moment is 10.966 from Reino Room on 10th place with 3 minutes to go. But everyone from position 5, Dominguez with a 10.6, they all have to try and improve their times because it is so close.
Absolutely. I mean, from 1st to 9th is all 1 minute 10. So, I don't really think you can see one of the people below the top 10 overtaking Bono Huis, but even half a second gain here, which wouldn't normally be a massive gain in places, but here at Monaco can actually jump you up around 5 to 6 positions. So any extra time you can find on the track will be greatly appreciated among the drivers. So the guys in the kind of danger zone at the moment who could possibly drop out, probably from Mikko Pymäläinen and Rasmus Tali and Reino Room, as Stephen Hirrle is right on their tail. He's just barely any time behind them. He's on a lap as well. 2 minutes left in the session, so there's enough time for the running order to change. So, and as Jaakko Mikkonen as well, he's 1 minute 11. He's down in 15th position, and we're not used to seeing him down there. So, but this could be a kind of a long-term loss for Precision, because if they're going for constructors and they only have one car on the field, albeit it's Bono Huis, if something does happen and Bono does make a mistake or if there's an incident, then Precision will be scoring will have a much less chance of scoring points as opposed to if they had two drivers on the field. So this could really bite them in the back at some point.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find out what exactly is wrong with the lineup of these precision guys. We have currently 3 Mac Corp cars on the grid, if I'm seeing this correctly. Saxon, Pummelainen and Tally all racing in a Mac Corp car, which is absolutely not allowed. And I believe Mikkonen should be in a precision car.
So it could be a bit of a mix-up here, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure then something might get changed in between Q2 and warm-up. So, Mikko Pummelainen there bouncing over the curbs as he flies across the finish line now. Let's see what kind of time he does. Or starts another lap. So Bono's done 9 laps as well. He's done a 1 minute 10.1, and he's just 0.085 quicker than Frederick Nilsson. So just a tenth of a second separate Twister from precision. That's how close the field is at Monaco today. And obviously setups everything. So precision and Twister have really nailed this. But another man who must have nailed it again is Patrick de Wit. He is on an absolute flyer. He's in P6 at the moment and is pushing his fastest speed like crazy. And it again has got himself inside the top 10.
Yeah, Pummelainen has dropped down to 11th. Meanwhile, he is on a fast lap, but it's not really fast, unfortunately for him. Sector times don't look too good, and it's going to be his last attempt in this Q1 session. And if he cannot improve, he'll be out of Q2.
Just Marco Conti is the man on the drop line at the moment. He just about starts, and well, he's gone in the pit, so he hit the line as the timer hit 0. So we'll have to see what happens then. Mikko Pummelainen's in 11th, and he doesn't go through to Q2.
Yes, he does it.
He does do it. Oh, yes, so Mikko Pummelainen does make it through with a 1:10.689. So he pulled something out of the bag there. He's into P9, knocked Conti into 11th. John-Eric Saxon is 10th at the moment, and is also on a lap. So he's the man in the kind of danger zone at the moment. If there is anyone else on a lap, I don't think there is.
No, except for Patrick de Wit, but that is for he's 3rd anyway. So he's improved his own time. He's still on a flying lap, but everybody else is in the pit lane pretty much, and that means we have our top 10 that will go through to Q2. But let's have a look at de Wit in 3rd. He might still improve his own time just for the record books. Coming around the final corner and soon going over the line. Patrick de Wit completes qualifying in 2nd.
So he's overtaken the 2 Twisters again. So that fastened speed really is fastened speed at the moment. They've really moved up a level here in the FSR World Championship. I think it's good to see Patrick fighting for the podium positions again, because he's such a great guy and he just deserves it. So it's nice to see him there. And I think Bono might be a bit surprised by that. He's just 0.042 off of the precision car. So that's going to be a big confidence boost for Patrick de Wit as he moves into qualifying 2. So the top 10 in qualifying 2 are Bono Huijs, de Wit, Frederick Nilsson and Atsej Kirchhoff, the 2 Twisters. They were followed by Stephen Rule in the Netrex Grand Prix. Reino Room was 6th, Morgan Moran 7th, David Dominguez was 8th, and they're the 2 Mac Corp racings of Mikko Pummelainen and John-Eric Saxon. But that's a bit weird because Saxon's normally in an Aero F1, so it could be a bit of a mix-up here with cars, or it's just, because I'm pretty sure a team isn't allowed 3 cars on the track, but we'll have to see as time goes on. So let's see who will lead the charge out the pit lane then. And it's Bono Huijs. Well, Bono Huijs is actually behind the Twister of Atsej Kirchhoff. So Kirchhoff hot now to try and set a good lap time. They've got one chance to try and nail it. That one lap that will set them on the all-important pole position.
Yeah, by the way, disastrous qualifying there for 2 top runners. Jaakko Mikkonen only in 16th on the grid will he be when we go to the race. And Blair Disley even further behind in 17th for the Too Fast For You Twister Racing team.
So let's watch Atsej Kirchhoff then. He's just come out of the chicane now and coming in towards the swimming pool section of the track. Beautiful scenery here around the Monte Carlo circuit, but the drivers don't have time to focus on that, and they have to try and keep their heads down and do 79 laps during the race of this grueling, unforgiving circuit. So Kirchhoff now will begin his flying lap very shortly. He's onto the home straight now. The throttle res, the engine roars into life. and we will go racing now. Let's say Kirchhoff looking for a flying lap.
Yeah, so let's stick with Kirchhoff with the cameras. Bonahuis is directly behind him on the racetrack, and we'll give you updates about his sector times in direct comparison, as Kirchhoff just is about to dive down over the sector 1 line. .3 from Kirchhoff, not the same thing from Bonahuis. Bonahuis a little bit slower in sector 1, but well, that's just not even half a tenth.
Do that. Okay. Good. Right, so there's plenty of guys on laps then. There's Kirchhoff, Stephen Hirrle, Saxon, Pumalainen, all on laps at the moment, but it's I'd say Kirchhoff who finishes lap first. He does so now, 1 minute 11.6.
And who beats him?
Bonahuis
11 flat.
It, though.
Yep, 11 flat from Bonahuis.
So he's half a second quicker. And Stephen Hirrle in the Netrex Grand Prix goes up into P2, 0.5 behind Bonahuis, but he's separated the twisters. So the guys in the midfield are really stepping up their game now and starting to put on the chase for precision and twister. Morgan Moran betters it in the ATR Silver Line. He goes second with a 1:11.4. John Eric Saxon goes sixth. Dominguez fifth. Let's see what Patrick De Witt can do. He's not on a lap at the moment, but he will be very soon. Mikko Pumalainen is on a lap, the only person on track who's on a lap at the moment.
Yeah, he's in sector 3 now. His previous 2 sector times didn't seem too impressive, but it could be. Well, actually, sector 2 was very good. It could be for a top 3 spot at the moment for Pumalainen. Coming over the line now, and it is 4th.
So Fredrik Nilsson has just started his flying lap now as well in twister. So we'll see what kind of sector time.
So let's have a look at Nielsen. He is the only one on a flying lap at the moment. 19.1, quickest first sector time.
So he's on a really big charge in that twister. He's coming out the tunnel now in towards the chicane. Let's see how he takes this. Very carefully over the curbs there as he just tries not to hit the curbs or damage the underneath of the car as he enters the swimming pool now. Heavy braking. Careful not to clip the barrier on the inside. Let's see what kind of time he does. Patrick De Witt is also on a lap now. He's in P8.
Yeah, but he's a bit slower than
Fredrik
Nilsson.
He comes across the line. Let's see what Fredrik Nilsson can do. He goes second. He's beaten Morgan Moran, but he hasn't quite beaten Huis yet. 0.013. That's the gap separating Twister from Precision. That's barely anything. But it's enough to give Bonahuis pole position unless Patrick De Witt can say something different. De Witt is now coming into the line. Let's see what he can do. Is that fast and speed car capable of a front row position? Yes, he goes pole. What a lap. Patrick De Witt. An absolute stormer of a lap. The only man on track is Reino Room, but he has beaten Bonahuis to the pole position. What a stormer of a lap there for Patrick De Witt. He will be over the moon with that. He knows that's amazing. A 1:11 flat. That's literally the meaning of flat, just 0.0003. So, wow.
Reino Room
crosses the line. He goes fourth. It's Patrick De Witt on pole position. He would have predicted that Monaco, the most unpredictable race in the FSR calendar, has lived up to his name.
Yeah, that is absolutely outstanding. Patrick De Witt on pole has beaten Bonahuis with half a tenth. Fredrik Nilsson just another 13 thousandths of a second behind Huis. And Reino Room on his in his rookie season in 4th place in Monaco. Morand in 5th for ATR Silver Line. These are all great results for these drivers. And I think we're hearing that Kirchhoff apparently had some sort of trouble during his lap, which might explain his 8th place only on the grid. That is certainly a disappointment. Dominguez also only in 9th for Too Fast For You, replacing David Greco, who is unfortunately not present today. And 10th on the grid will be John Eric Saxon. Pumalainen will be 7th.
So we're in the warm-up session now then, as the cars will speed towards the end of the pit lane. So everyone really applauding De Wit's performance. It was a superb lap, and so he's going to be one happy man going into this warm-up session. It's 10 minutes for the guys to finalise their car, make sure everything is perfect, and so for that run into turn 1. And how important is the grid positions here? So the qualifying, how much of a vital role does this play at a track like Monaco?
It's extremely vital, of course, especially this year with this year's cars. It's much more difficult to overtake compared to last year or the year before, for example. So really, if the car ahead, if the driver ahead doesn't make a mistake, there's just no way to pass. Although we have at least 2 official, so-called official overtaking spots on the track map here for Monaco. But well, one is in turn 1 into Saint-Devote, and the second one is after the tunnel into the harbour chicane, but you just cannot get close enough most of the time unless, as mentioned, the driver ahead makes a mistake. So I tell you what, Bono Huis has been practicing Q2 as always during the Q1 session, right after when he did his fastest lap in Q1, which was his first lap. He started to do Q2 times, and he did 10.9 on both attempts. But then in the real session, in the Q2 session itself, he did 11.0, which was just not enough to beat Patrick De Wit, and that shows how close it is, really.
Yeah, so there's from now 2 teams, there's now 3, as Patrick De Wit is, we thought it could have been, you know, just an odd occurrence of Patrick in Spain, but he's just proven that, you know, that he has got the pace to fight with the likes of Bono Huis and the 2 Twister cars. So it's a great qualifying performance by him, and I'm sure he'll be looking for the absolute most great run possible into turn 1, because he's going to have a very hot-headed Bono Huis behind him. So we'll see what happens. We have 7 minutes left now. Quite a lot of the guys are on track at the moment.
Yeah, so of course, what happens now, same procedure as always, fuel goes into the cars, almost 200 litres of fuel now. These are really super tankers driving around Monaco right now, so drivers just getting to grips with the new feeling of the car. And of course, we may not forget a very important thing for tonight's race, which is the tyre choice, which was of course also in place for the Q2 session. So the Q2 tyres will be your race tyres. And so, of course, now since Patrick De Wit has pole position, we can again speculate on whether maybe he's gone a bit softer regarding tyre choice compared to his direct competitors, similar like he did 2 weeks ago in Barcelona, where I think he used the medium tyres, whereas everybody else was on the hard tyres. Here it's a bit, generally a bit softer level, so I think most drivers are going to be on either soft or medium tyres. And maybe De Wit has gone for the softs, or maybe even for the super soft tyres.
So of course we'll see during the first round of pit. Okay, for a good at least 30% of the time, because you just won't be able to find an overtaking spot without taking some risks. And you know, it's probably, you've seen some of the moves earlier in our series, like the World Series and World Trophy, just how close together these guys can get. So pit stops will be so important. If you can leapfrog a guy during the pits, you will gladly accept that kind of move, because that's probably going to be the most used overtaking spot, the pit stops, because there's pretty much nowhere else on the track. Oh, and that's a Jakka Nikkonen getting a bit wide out of the lane there. it's too early on the throttle, and of course these guys drive with no traction control or anything like that and driver aids. So once again, now it's Bono Huis who's on the pole position at the moment in the warm-up. Of course, it's Patrick De Vet who's will start the race from pole, but he's still in third position in the warm-up. So even if everyone else has gone onto their setups now, and Patrick's still up there with the twisters and the positions. Sorry for the difficulties, my mic was like half unplugged, so...
Alright, so yeah, as you mentioned, it's quite interesting to watch the warm-up lap times, although, well, they're not 100% real in terms of what a driver can do, simply because maybe a driver is trying something different than just going for hot laps. And also, of course, the traffic situation, even more here on a track like this, can play a role when setting times. But at the moment, looks like business as usual. Bono Huis leading, 13.3. Looks like what these drivers at the top can in their first laps of the race. Nielsen behind him in second, De Witt third.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of guys as well, all very close together. I mean, from around 6th place to 13th place, well, even down to 14th place, all within a second of each other. So the field very tightly packed. In the midfield is Jack Keithley, had a massive moment there. He was backwards on the entrance to the Mirabeau section of the circuit. So I'm not sure, he should be able to get it running again. If he doesn't do that in the race, so he'll be fine. So Ase Kirchhoff has just completed his lap, and it's a 1:13.669, which puts him 4th place. So good lap there by Kirchhoff. In the twister, he's behind Patrick De Vet, who did a 1:13.613. So De Vet is really mixing it up there now with the elite of the Formula Sim Racing World Championship. So 3 minutes left of a warm-up session now, as the nerves may start to creep in for some of the drivers, especially the pole sitter Patrick De Vet. And we're just interesting to see how many guys can make it through turn 1.
Yep, and by the way, the MacCop car problematic has still not been cleared up. We still have 3 MacCop racing cars on the grid, which surely isn't right, so they will have to try and switch a few drivers and cars, I believe.
So again, Bono Huis and Frederick Nielsen very, very close together, 0.013 away, so they are getting very up close and personal, as they did in Spain as well. If you remember rightly, Frederick Nielsen was following Bono for the entirety of the race essentially, and maybe even put a move on him a couple times, but just couldn't quite make it stick, as Bono was just too quick.
Now we just got the information that Rasmus Tally officially should drive the main Precision Motorsports car alongside Bono Huis, but apparently from a practice crash, one of the Precision cars was not ready in time for qualifying and race, and it looks like they will have to use their sister MacCop car for Rasmus Tally. So looks like we're gonna have 3 MacCop cars in this race, but Rasmus Tally is officially driving for Precision. Now that's a cool story, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very interesting story. It's something you don't normally see. And of course, GTA Mega is also very close to the top. It's being pretty close as always. Renault's 4th in warm-up. He was only 2/10 off Bono Huis. So again, GTA Mega looking pretty competitive, along with, I'll tell you what, the midfield, they're really closing up to Precision and Twister at the moment. Yeah, you've got teams like NetRex and GTA Mega and Fast and Speed, and they're all making drastic improvements every race, which are edging them ever closer towards the front runners.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is a very hard track to compare paces of teams and individual drivers, because so much is depending on luck and on the qualifying performance. So we'll have to wait for the next one, I guess, to really judge the development of the teams and drivers as we go to the race.
Yep, so we have 30 seconds now until the race will go. But warm-up's been restarted apparently, so I'm not too sure why that's been passed.
Liam, you know what, I don't want to curse anybody, but last time Patrick de Wit was on pole position in 2008, he crashed out in the formation lap.
Oh, I see, so hopefully history won't repeat itself. But of course we've seen many incidents here in Monaco, even this weekend. I mean, if you remember back to the World Series, when Stephen Canitz led the whole race from pole and just 7 laps from the end crashed. Oh, he didn't crash, his engine blew. So he was majorly disappointed. Then, of course, we had another incident today where Mark Olberts was second and had an incident. So it's a shame, really, because this track just takes so much out of the car and the engine and the brakes, and it can just really have a effect, and it can just really bite you in the back, because you can put so much effort in and drive the race of your life just to have it all taken away from you, because Monaco is just such an unforgiving place. And hopefully we won't see as many incidents as we have for the rest of this weekend. So yeah, so we're restarting warm-up now. I'm not too sure what the idea is behind there, but I guess they're trying to sort out the business with the MacBook cars, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm quite sure we're going to be ready anytime soon, so we are a bit late with the race start. Apologies for that, but well, we're going to see a very long race anyway. It's the longest race of the year, I believe. It's the shortest in terms of kilometers, but it's a very long race time.
Yeah, it's a 78 laps of the most grueling track on the calendar, but so we'll see just how many of these drivers can make it to the end of the race. And I'd say Kirchhoff goes quickest then with a 1:13.6.
Yeah, it looks like the race director just giving a few final instructions to the drivers. We have a bit of a different start light procedure here. We're going to have 4 red lights and then a 5th red light, and at the 5th light it's go for the race, which is not the normal procedure for sure, but just the race director just making sure that every driver knows that. It's simply a bug on the track, I think, and 10 seconds till the race.
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now?
Yeah, so the race will be started then in just a few seconds, and Patrick de Wit will lead the field around for the formation lap. And so, Dennis, you've been here before on pole position, and you've won a World Championship, so you know what it's like to feel the pressure. What's going through Patrick's mind right now?
Oh, actually, you should be quite relaxed, because pole position is the best place you can be, especially in Monaco. Nobody can really pass you into turn 1, especially because nowadays, unlike in our old days, every car has now a launch control, so the start only really depends on the reaction time, and if nothing goes wrong, the drivers should make it into turn 1 like they start. So we should expect de Wit to lead if he makes it round the formation lap, that is. Now we approach the famous Mirabeau corner. That's exactly where he lost his front wing in 2008 and had to end his race before he even started. But good sign for him. He's gone further than that already. And
yeah, so he's now entering the tunnel, and it's just so hard now to actually warm up the tyres and the brakes because there's so little room on the track. So you can't really weave to the extent you can on tracks like you know, Budapest and Albert Park, because there's just not enough room and you just end up hitting the barriers. So the drivers will have to do short, snappy, quick weaves and just keep literally frantically turning the wheel left and right, trying to get as much heat into the tyres as they can without sending their car off into the barrier.
yes, you really have to be careful with warming up your tyres. DeWitt does it quite well. Very hard braking. You can see the smoke coming off of his tyres. So he really warms up the brakes because you have to for preparing for turn 1. And he was quite fast though. He's already on the main straight. And hopefully not a too long wait for the top runner. So it's going to be DeWitt, who is Nielsen and Rainer Room, the top 4.
So now all the guys lining up on their grid spots. The adrenaline will kick in. The blood will start pumping more than ever. Their heart will go crazy inside their chest for some of them. And now it's just all the process of keeping calm, making everything's perfect, and waiting for those 5 red lights to illuminate. And then, of course, they go on the 5th. So you see DeWitt just testing his wheel, making sure it's all good. The first light's lit. Look but never stare. And we are ready, and we're racing in Monaco. DeWitt gets a good clean start into turn 1. Let's see if he can hold the lead. He does so. Almquist is also right behind him. Nielsen's just dropped off a bit. I think everyone's got through turn 1 okay.
Crash.
Oh, it's contact. That's Rasmus Tali, who's a major spin now. He's got himself going again. But Rasmus Tali's got going. He's got no front wing. Big blow there to the Estonian.
Yeah, I think it was Marco Conti making contact with Rasmus Tali, I think, on the way up to Casino. A big incident, really. But, well, Tali lost his front wing. Conti, same thing. No, Conti has retired. Conti is out.
That's a big blow as well. Monaco has now claimed the first of the cars today. Patrick DeWitt leads, though, for the first half of the lap. He's 0.2 in front of Bono Hui. Fred Nielsen 3rd, Rainer Room 4th. Morgan Moran 5th, Stephen Ruhl 6th, Atse Kirchhoff making a place off of the grid up into P7, and Stephen Ruhl's crashed. Stephen Ruhl, big crash. He's taken out quite a few other cars as well. Oh my goodness me, carnage. And Stephen Ruhl's out. There's major carnage there.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how many guys have caught up. We've got 4 guys already.
Yeah, Conti, Dominguez, Euler is out, Ruhl is out, Saxon is out.
Oh my word.
Paris is going into the pits for a new front wing, as is Tali, and Disley is the last on the track. Yep.
Oh my word, major carnage there then for the first lap of the Monaco Grand Prix. We said how unforgiving it was, and just see, if one driver makes a mistake, you can quite easily collect plenty of other drivers with you. But Patrick DeWitt has not made a mistake. He is still pushing his 0.6 in front of Bono Hui at the moment. And so Atse Kirchhoff 6th, Morgan Moran 5th in the ACR Silverline, so he's had a nice clean start. Jaakko Mikkonen is in 9th then in the Ash Aero F1, so got himself into the top 10. Blair Disley rounds it out in the Too Fast For You Twister. So we have just 13 runners left. Rasmus Tali and Mikko Puumalainen, both Mack Corp, still in the pits. Tali leaves, Stephen Ruhl's left the game, so Puumalainen is still on his pit box. The Rainer Room is right on the back of Fredrik Nielsen in the GT Omega. He's looking very strong. So the top 4, all within 2 seconds of Patrick DeWitt, I beg your pardon. So Mikko Puumalainen's a lap down already in the pits. So 13 runners left then already after just 2 laps of the Monaco Grand Prix. And so many incidents happened there. I think you have to watch a replay just to see just how many drivers got involved with them there.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure if our cameraman Pedro can provide replays tonight, but I've just watched it again myself, and it was very strange. On the way to the back corner, Stefan Ruhl, for some reason, slowed down massively, maybe trying to let Kirchhoff through for whatever reason, which I would not know. Kirk made contact with him, and then Raw basically spun it and blocked the whole track, and then all the cars behind him ran into him. That was a massive shunt.
Yeah, so Kirchhoff seems to have got off unscathed. He's in P6 at the moment. Everything's still intact on the car. He's trying to chase down the silver line of Morgan Morand. And Bono Puiso. Let's see. Of course, Bono's going to have to fight for this one now. He's going to try and use his imagination and perhaps pull off a daring manoeuvre on Patrick De Witt, because De Witt will know all the corners where Puiso is going to make a move. He's got experience here in FSR, and he's going to try and obviously cover as many corners as he can to try and avoid taking manoeuvre and losing first place to Bono Puiso. So Bono may have to use his imagination here to try and pull off something amazing, and he almost tries to. I thought he was going to go up the outside then into Mirabeau, but didn't quite do it. And he's look how close he is to Patrick De Witt on the back of that fastened speaker. And Frederick Nielsen's just behind them, watching this battle rage on. Renault Room is up to P4, and he's just not too far away from them either. He's less than 3 seconds.
Yeah, so we've lost 5 drivers, I think. We still have 13 runners, and so the first collision was in lap 1 after Saint-Devote, with Marco Conti for some reason getting out of shape on the way up to Saint-Devote, making contact with one of the Mac Cop cars, and then a few others were involved in that, and then we mentioned the second incident already, so that's why we lost these 5ers, and a couple more had to take on a new front wing. So it's De Witt from Huis, Nielsen, Moran, Kirchhoff, Keithley, Patel, Mikkonen, Disley in 10th, Parisis, Talley and Pumalainen.
Yeah, and Morgan Morand is all over the back of that GT Omega Renault Room. He's really pushing that silver line as much as he can. We've got 2 of the midfield teams here, all inside the top 10. So we've got both ATR silver lines and both GT Omegas inside the top 8. So it's looking very good at the moment for the midfield teams after the carnage that happened in lap 1. They've somehow managed to escape through it, and Patel almost clips the back of Jack Keithley there in P8 in the ATR silver line. He of course won the World Series here just on, World Series. And now Jack Keithley letting Patel through. I'm not too sure what happened there, whether Keithley had a problem or something like that, whether he cut the corner out to give the place back, but Keithley just seemingly let Patel through. We'll try and watch the replay. So on the entrance to the tunnel, Keithley takes the corner fine, doesn't hit the barrier, and just simply moves aside. I think he tried to let Patel have a racing line so they don't make contact, but he just eased off the acceleration too early, and he gave him the place.
Yep, and interestingly, at the front, one of who certainly has been held up by Patrick De Witt, but Frederick Nielsen, he's still close behind, but not very close, so it might be the case that Nielsen just cannot go faster at the moment, unlike Bono Huis, who certainly would want to have some fresh air.
And having already lost a place to Mohamed Patel, Jack Keithley's come under great pressure now from Jaakko Mikkonen in the Ash Aero F1 car. Mikkonen had to look up the inside of Mirabeau, and he had to narrowly back out there, but narrowly avoiding contact with the GT Omega car. Got to be careful, of course. This is a points position for 8th place they're jostling for. They have to be so careful. We're only 6 laps into this race and already lost 5 cars, and again Jack Keithley moves out the way.
Yeah, maybe
do you know what his strategy is here? Or?
I can only think that maybe he's not feeling very comfortable with his car. Maybe he's got some damage from all the carnage that we've seen. Easy to pick up some suspension damage. Maybe his car is pulling to one direction, and he thinks that maybe it's safer to let a few cars through.
Yeah, that's the case. Jack Keithley has damage as he peels into the pit lane now to try and hopefully get that damage repaired. So that's hurt his chances of a major points finish quite badly. But hopefully he can still make it back, and he's ill as well, apparently. We've heard from Damian. So that's a shame. So we've got both GTO Mega drivers, okay, with some sort of illness. Of course, Renault Room injured himself during a football match earlier today, so he won't be at his utter best, but nonetheless he's still performing very well. If you look at his position, he's in P4 at the moment, and he's just 3 seconds away from Frederick Nielsen, and Jack Keithley hasn't finished, so he becomes our 6th DNF of the day, and there are now just 12 cars remaining in the Monaco Grand Prix. So it's really playing quite a lot of cars today, and Jack Keithley was in quite a good position, so now after that DNF, we now have Patrick de Wit leading, who's 0.5 from Bono Huis, Nilsson 3rd, Reino Room in 4th, Moran 5th, Kirchhoff is in 6th place after starting 8th, so he got a great start. Mohamed Patel 7th, Meekinen 8th, Isley 9th, and Jim Parasis in the Go Speed Racing came in 10th. So it's all looking pretty stable now as we enter, we'll get ever closer to the first round of pit stops.
Yeah, and Patrick de Wit had a massive slide out of Rascasse last time round, and this could be an indicator for him using softer tyres than his opponents, because they heat up massively after some laps, which gives you less grip, especially on the rears. So, and if he does use softer tyres, he will really have some troubles now, because the pressure is up from Huis and Nilsson. He knows he will have to be at 100% from start to finish if he wants to achieve the podium here, and it's not going to be easy on his soft tyres for Patrick de Wit.
Now, you may see him stop quite early as opposed to the other front runners, and this could be crucial as well, because he will for some time have the advantage of fresher tyres. But as soon as Bono Huis and Frederick Nilsson pit him, they will be on the fresher tyres and will have the advantage in whether it's overtaking or defending. But only time will tell. We're still barely into the race, only 9 laps in, and Kirchhoff is starting to put a bit of pressure on that ATR silver line of Morgan Moran. So there's 3 cars, Reino Room, Moran and Kirchhoff, all in a kind of stretched train. They're not quite touching each other yet, but they're still reasonably close together. Under a second separate them as they enter Maribor, and let's see that's how they make it through okay. Of course, Kirchhoff will quite happily capitalise on a mistake by either of those 2 drivers, because, you know, it's a very hard track to master, and if you make a mistake, you will have plenty of cars behind you who will quite happily jump up a position. So the gap between Huis and de Wit is 0.7 seconds. So de Wit is still doing a good job of maintaining the lead, even though his tyres may be fading a bit from the fast and speed driver. We'll have to see later on in the race how big of an impact these tyres will have on Patrick's race, but only time will tell as he comes around the final corner to finish his 9th lap now. 9 down, 67 to go for Patrick de Wit.
New fastest lap from Bono Huis, 13.291. And a bit strange to do a fastest lap when you're directly stuck behind an opponent, but Bono shows it is possible. And now a lap car is coming up, so it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think he should get out of the way pretty easily. But look at the gap now that Bono is closed onto that fast and speed car. He's right on the tail, and Patrick's mirrors will be full of the blur of the Precision Motorsports driver, the Flying Dutchman who's been called Bono Huis. Let's see if he can live up to that name today as they go up to the harbour chicane. Oh, and he bounced over the curbs there, Bono. Luckily, managed to save it. It looked like a major bounce over the curbs, but he's still right on the tail, flat out now through the swimming pool. And Kirchhoff, though, is still following Moran and Reino Room. So these 3 getting pretty close together, and a big lock up there from Reino Room, it looked like. And Morgan Moran would quite happily gain a slipstream, but although this straight one of the shortest on the calendar, so it's not really a lot of time to try and gain a slipstream on your opponents. So, but look at the gap now. It says 0.3 between de Wit and Bono all over the back of Patrick de Wit, and he goes over the curb again. He's getting so aggressive now. So let's see what the reigning world champion can do here.
Yeah, you can really see how much on the edge is Patrick de Wit for real, and he's basically overdriving the car, which makes his tyre situation with the softer tyres, we think, even worse, of course, because if you slide more, the temperatures are going up even more. Very close now into the harbour chicane, but Bono just cannot do it yet.
No, of course, catching's one thing, passing is another, and especially in Monaco when there's little room to do so. So, as I said before, he will need to use his imagination and perhaps pull off a move into one of the less likely corners. Maybe put on a big risk, but oh, and de Wit, there was another bit of lock-up. So de Wit's really pushing the car to the absolute limit, and those tyres start giving way eventually, and I think Bono Huis knows this. He's just keeping with him, putting a bit of pressure on and waiting to capitalise on a mistake as they go through Saint-Devote now. Let's see the Reino Room battle's going on as Moran is still behind Reino Room, but not as close as Huis and De Vit are together, so there's two major battles on the track. The battle for the lead and the battle for 4th position with Renault Room, Morgan Moran and Atse Kirchhoff, who's on the back of it, trying to just wait for a mistake by one of the drivers in front and capitalise and move up into 5th place. He's right behind the ATR silver line of Morgan Moran as they go out of Mirabeau and into the tunnel. Let's see if he can get closer. This is this part on the circuit to pick up a slipstream. And look at, meanwhile, back to Bono Huis then. He's still right behind, and they are approaching a lap car, as you said. I believe that's Mikko Puumalainen, and he should easily get out of the way. He's a sensible guy. He won't try and hold the field up or do something dangerous. And De Vit again goes a bit too deep into that corner as they enter the final section of the track onto the pit straight. Bono may have a chance at a slipstream here, and maybe even a slingshot out of turn 1, where only time will tell. He's gone up the inside, he had a little look, but he does nothing going, and he bounces over the curb into the slipstream of Patrick De Vit once again. He goes up the inside, he's looking all over, frantically weaving, trying to find a place now to overtake Patrick De Vit in the fastened speed car. There's just nowhere to do it. He's got to try and pull it off eventually. And as De Vit looking up again slightly, Huis is desperately searching for a way past him. It's getting so tense here. De Vit knows he's under pressure, and Bono knows that Patrick's sensing this and therefore driving more radically and trying to drive 110% out of the car. And this could open the pathway for Fredrik Nilsson. He's, if you haven't noticed, has gained quite a lot of time. He's now on the second away from the lead. So there could be a train of 3 fighting for the lead now as Bono Huis gets right up behind it again.
Yeah, and it's Rasmus Tally. Sorry, Lim, it's Rasmus Tally ahead of them, who is officially tonight Bono Huis' teammate, although he's racing in another car. And now they... here we go. He's let all of them through, so that was fair driving from Tally. He took his time, but now they're through.
Yeah, and Fredrik Nilsson, if you noticed during that lapping progress, Fredrik Nilsson got right on the back of Bono Huis, so if Bono's not careful, when he opens up for a move on Patrick De Vit, could even surrender a place to Fredrik Nilsson if he's not careful, because the Swedishman Fredrik Nilsson will gladly jump on an opportunity to take Bono's winning streak away from him, as he's already broken one FSR record here. The most wins to the start of the season. He's won, I think, 6 races out of 6. And that was a record previously held by Gregor Hutu, who of course is now racing in the iRacing Road Race Championship. So Bono's destined for great things, but is he destined to win the Monaco Grand Prix? There's only one way to find out, and that's to see if he can pass Patrick De Vit, but he's not going to do it into the harbour chicane just yet. Well, these two so close, practically behind each other. They're just drafting each other now through the whole of the lap now. For around 2 or 3 laps they've been like this. The Renault Room battle is still raging on. There's a train. So there's 2 trains of 3. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. And there's a big lock up there by Morgan Moran into the second to last corner. And I thought Kirchhoff might be on the back of him, but he just wasn't quite close enough. And that's Moran opening up for a bit on Room, but there's just not enough space to try and put a move on him.
Puumalainen is out. I just see he has just retired. Let's see if we can find out why. Just watching this personally. He was behind Mikkonen. Oh, he lost his front wing into the harbour chicane, clipped the barrier on the inside and probably stalled the car. So 11 runners we have.
And of course it's another big slide out of Morgan Moran. I think he also may be on the super softs because he's another midfield guy. He wouldn't normally expect to see in the top 10, but he qualified very high. He's currently running in 5th, doing major slides around this circuit. And it's evident in his driving that he's again trying to push too hard. Another bit of a lock-up as he bounces over the hurricane curb. Kirchhoff hot on his tail there. We're on lap 15 out of 78. Patrick De Vit leads by a slim margin against Bono Huis, who is just 0.5 seconds behind. Fredrik Nilsson is watching on as they go down the pit straight, just kind of sneakily watching, waiting for a mistake by one of the 2 leaders who will happily capitalise. And so let's just go through the order then, the 11 drivers that are left. Patrick De Vit leads from Huis, Nilsson 3rd, Renault Room is in 4th in the GT Omega, under a bit of pressure by Morgan Moran, then Atse Kirchhoff. Mohammed is 7th, Mikkonen 8th, Blair Disley is in 9th in the Too Fast For You Twister, 10th is Jim Parisis, and 11th is Rasmus Tally, although he's a lap down. So another thing to notice as well, if the Reino Room, Morgan Moran and Lasse Kirchhoff fight catch on to the Fredrik Nilsson, Bono Huis and Patrick de Witt fight, we could see possibly a 6-driver train going around the Monaco circuit, and surely that's just destined for something bad to happen. We saw it in Formula 1, and then Monaco claimed the cars of Jaime Alguersuari and Vitaly Petrov, so hopefully nothing like that will happen today. But Morgan Morandi's getting ever so feisty in that ATR Silver Line. You can see him wrestle the car as he tries to follow Reino Room, and Rasmus Tali's going to have to get out of the way because he's got 3 charging lap cars, and he does it on the same corner where he let Huis and Co through. So 0.2 the gap then between Huis, and look at Huis on the back of Patrick de Witt. He's looked so close there through the exit of turn 1. I thought he was going to try a move, but he couldn't quite pull it off, and now like de Witt took that a bit too wide, but Huis played wisely, followed him. He's playing a very smart game here, isn't he? He's not taking any major league risks that don't need to be taken.
Yeah, I mean, the risk of driving in Monaco is already pretty high, and driving behind another car is even more of a risk, because we've seen what happened in the first lap, in the first 2 laps of the race. We've already had 2 massive incidents, and simple story: if the car ahead makes a mistake, gets stuck somewhere in the barriers, and you're directly behind, you can simply not avoid the other guy. So of course Huis wants to get through because he wants to get away from Nilsson, who is more of a direct opponent concerning the championship, although he's well, of course, far ahead in the championship, Bono Huis, but still he wants to clear him. But of course he has to be very, very careful here.
So Morgan Moran losing a bit of time to Reino Room now, as Reino Room gets a bit wide into the penultimate corner, and Lasse Kirchhoff still on the end of this battle. He's around a second away from it, but again he's just kind of doing the Fredrik Nilsson role, just watching on and waiting for a mistake by one of the 2 guys in front of him. So both twisters inside the top 6, they're 3rd and 6th, both playing 2 guys who are fighting for positions, so they're playing it very smart here as well. With Bono Huis, oh, and that's de Witt there with another little look up into the Mirabeau. And you can see the Supersofts on de Witt's car starting to give way now. Lap 18 out of 78. 60 more laps to go here in Monaco. So it's nowhere near over, and Bono Huis still can't put a move on de Witt, and he must be getting slightly frustrated now.
Yeah, pretty much all he can do is wait for the pit stop, and in de Witt's case, a pit stop should happen rather early. It's really a pity that we cannot visually see on which tyres the drivers are. The tyres are all the same from the looks of it, but of course the compounds can be different, as we discussed previously, but we simply don't know. We can only speculate, looking at de Witt's performance in qualifying and in the race right now, where he is really on the absolute edge every lap, which is definitely a sign of the tyres heating up and slowly giving up.
So the 2 battles are still raging away here. Fredrik Nilsson still following Bono Huis and the Patrick de Witt battle. And let's just ride on board with Fredrik Nilsson and see his perspective of what's going on. They're entering the harbour chicane now, and Huis is still just can't quite pull a move off on de Witt. These 2 have been following each other for nearly 20 laps, and of course Bono will be in the Fast and Speed car's dirty air, which isn't going to help his downforce and braking at all. So maybe could we see a leapfrog during the pit stop window here?
Yeah, anything is really possible if they're so close together, just within 1.5 seconds like they are now. A pity, really, as you mentioned before. Reino Room is actually falling apart slightly. He's 6 seconds behind de Witt now, so he's not getting closer, and it would be a massive 6-car battle if we had him, Moran and Kirchhoff with our top 3, but unfortunately we don't. But yeah, like I say, it's just waiting for the pit stop now, and keeping out of the barriers.
And that's Blair Disley there, P9, who just got a bit too deep into the harbour chicane, and actually took a bit too much off it. So just see the replays going into the chicane. Yeah, I think he just caught the curb a bit there, nothing too major. He's still going no damage to the car, but nonetheless a bit of a scary moment if you hop over that chicane. So the gap, and now Frederick Nilsson is back to under a second from Bono Quiz, so he's right back on the tail of this battle and has been gaining for quite a while, and Bono's might be getting a bit worried now because he's going to be in a little bit of a sandwich between two guys who are hungry to try and stop this unstoppable streak that Bono is on. He's won 6 of 6, as we've said, and I think Patrick Devitt may be the man to stop him today. He's holding him up very well and doing a good job of defending.
Yeah, so we are in lap 21 now, and if they pit anytime soon, it's going to be a 2-stopper maybe. A 3-stop is still possible as well, but the longer they go, the more a 2-stopper is going to be. I'm not quite sure what the strategies were in the World Series and the World Trophy, because I didn't see that. You'll know more, Liam.
Yeah, some of the guys were 2-stopping in the World Trophy. It was generally a 1-stop, although Marcel van der Linden 2-stop. It was because it's a 75% race distance, so you aren't really required to stop more than twice. But yeah, and definitely in the World Series it was more of a 2-stop game for the drivers, because it's a very race to try and last just 1-2 sets of tyres on, because the tyres will wear out and you want to try and have the advantage over your opponent, and obviously if you're on fresher tyres then it'll be easier to do that then. So the guys will try, I think they'll try and
Sorry there, who is it in the pits? As is Nilsson, so P2 and 3 are in the pit lane. Now let's see which crew is faster. That was a bit of a surprise to see them pit so early. Who gets out in front? So no changes there.
Well, no, but they are going to come out in quite interestingly behind the battle with Morgan Morand and co. Oh no, Morgan Morand's in the pits, and Ase Kirchhoff's fallen off a bit. I think he may have hit it in or something. Ase Kirchhoff's coming out right behind Morgan Morand now as Morgan Morand leaves the pits. So Bono Quiz is quite a way behind Reina Room. So finally, Reina Room gets some breathing space. Just try and drive a clean race, make sure everything's perfect, and then when he pits in, hopefully rejoins in front of the 2 cars he was being chased by.
Yeah, and Kirchhoff had pitted even a lap earlier. We didn't see that, but he obviously tried to leapfrog Morand, who then pitted the previous lap, and it was not successful for Kirchhoff's regard, and that's of course a nightmare for him, because now he's going to be stuck for the next stint behind Morand as well. And now let's see if DeWitt pits. DeWitt is in the pit lane.
So this is going to be vital if he gets out in front of Quiz. These two were around 0.3 seconds behind each other. Where is Bono in relation? He's coming now onto the final corner. Well, Fit hasn't moved yet. He's going to be eager to go. His car moves. He's leapfrogged him. Bono Quiz resumes the lead of the race, and quite easily as well. And DeVay is still leaving the pit lane. There might have been a problem during the stop. It looked very slow. He was eager to get away. There may have been some minor damage to the car or something. But an advantage you have to take into consideration is that Patrick DeVay will be on fresher tyres. And it's been a problem. Rasmus Tali is out of the race. He has a suspension problem. So there are now just 10 runners left. All of the guys that finish now will finish in the points.
Yeah, it was a 9 seconds.
Morgan Moran on Patrick DeVay. Oh, look at into Mirabel, that's side by side. Not quite. Sorry, Dennis.
No problem. It was a 9-second pit stop of Patrick DeWitt. That is a massive time for a stop these days. And certainly something went wrong, or he just has some damage to repair, which... oh, look at this. Kirchhoff is going to go for it, and they make contact.
Oh, no, it seems that they're okay. There's no damage to the front wing, but there may be some slight suspension damage or something. Let's see how Kirchhoff drives. If it's... he's hit the wall. He just took the curb, he's cut the chicane. I think he's definitely going to need another pit stop after that. Interesting to see if Moran does as well, but no, Kirchhoff stays out. He's a fighter, but he tapped the wall there after the contact as well. So there could very well be some minor damage to that Twister racing car.
So DeWitt has been cleared by himself, so it's Bono who's in the lead now, and interestingly, Nilsson can stick with him. The gap is just half a second, so this is going to be interesting. Same situation as in Barcelona 2 weeks ago. The two of them driving directly behind each other for the whole race they did in Barcelona. We'll see if Nilsson can really stay with him.
Yeah, so right now there's Bono Quiz the reigning world champion, of course. He made it happen here last year. He won the Monaco Grand Prix. Is he about to repeat history and increase his record to 7 wins in a row in the Formula SimRacing World Championship? If you've just joined us, we've had just 24 laps of racing and already over half the field retire almost. And most of them in the first lap as well. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cars that have retired from the race. So it's been a very dramatic race here. Loads of incidents happening and plenty of action, which is exactly what a racing fan wants to see from a race. So Kirchhoff's starting to catch Morgan Morand, and Morand is falling away from De Vit a bit now. After, of course, De Vit had to warm his tyres up for 2 laps or so, but once they're warmer, they're much fresher, so he's going to pull away a bit easier now from the ATR Silverline car. But he is going very well, isn't he? Morgan Morand in 4th position in a Silverline. We don't normally see them that high in the field, but right now they're making it stick, and they've been strong here throughout all 3 series all weekend. Of course, you know, there was a podium for them this weekend as well, so they've been looking very strong, ATR Silverline.
Yes, absolutely, and Rainer Room is only in 6th position. I think we forgot about him slightly, at least I did. So after the pit stop, he's only in 6th, so he's fallen behind Morand and Kirchhoff, and possibly also had the same problem De Vit had, just a very long stop there for Rainer Room.
And De Vit locked his brakes going into the penultimate corner around with a bit of opposite lock. He's major slide. So both these guys fighting the car and wrestling it round. And Morand is just trying to... I hope that De Vit makes a mistake maybe, because De Vit has been pushing. We've seen it all race. He's been pushing so hard and locking tyres and sliding about the track. It's like it's a rally track, the kind of drift he's been doing. But it hasn't. You can't really complain when he's in a podium position and he's been holding off a champion for around 20 laps or so. So that driving style, that very aggressive kind of style is working for Pac Vit. But is it going to work for Morgan Morand? We're going to have to see. So Huis now then a second clear of Frederick Nilsson, which is, these are the kind of conditions he's used to. He's now got to try and drive himself the rest of a clean race. Is quite a long stint. You're looking at around 52 laps or so left. So Nilsson 1.199 seconds away. De Vit now down to 10 seconds of the way of those 2 majorly competitive cars. So De Vit lost a lot of time during the pit stops. He obviously had it was a very slow stop. You could see him in the pit lane. He was just moving his wheel, wanting to get away. And there was obviously some damage that needed repairing. So that's what cost him some valuable seconds and the lead of the race. And we said pit stops would be crucial during qualifying and warm-up, and we were absolutely right, because both Rainer Room and Patrick De Vit have been leapfrogged by the guys they were being chased by.
Yep,
So
and
Jim
I
Paris
think...
this as well. We haven't spoken much, Johnson.
Sorry there, I think Morand could go much quicker if De Vit wasn't in his way. 2 laps ago, Morand did a fastest Sector 3 time of everybody, so... really, he's been blocked by De Vit, and I know that Morand and the whole RTR Silverline team was very motivated into this Grand Prix, saying, "I want a podium," did Morand say, and he's about to get that. Just one more car to overtake.
Yeah, and that's Jim Paris is in the pits. You haven't spoken much about him in the Go Speed car. Again, they're not really a top 10 competitive team in the World Championship. At the times they're looking pretty strong. He's inside the top 10 at the moment, albeit he's a lap down. But as long as he can drive the rest of a clean race, he should bring home a point for his team.
Right, he is inside the top 10, but that's because we just have 10 drivers, right?
So Nilsson now 1.5 seconds adrift from Bono Huis, who's starting once again to just pull away and drive like he knows he can. These are the conditions that this man loves. He has no worries in the world now. He can just drive to his heart's content, flat out, and try. And there's Rasmus. Oh, sorry, my bad. There's someone in the pit lane there. That's Jaakko Mikkonen, who's leaving the pit lane in P9. So he's made a stop. He's 52 seconds off the lead. So he's not challenging for anything as of yet. But there is another battle going on though. This three-way train once again is exactly the same drivers, Kirchhoff, Morand, and only this time Rainer Room has been replaced by Patrick de Witt. And if you look as well, I'm not sure if you saw that, Dennis, but on those final two corners there's a lot of skid marks where you can see Morgan, Morand and de Witt have been locking brakes.
Yes, they are known to be probably the most aggressive drivers in the field, Patrick de Witt and Morgan Morand, so it's going to be interesting to have them in a battle, which we have right now. And also Nielsen just done the fastest lap at 12.3, but he is rather falling off. 1.5 is the gap now to Bono Ruiz, so he can do a quick time sometimes, but the consistency is not quite there for Fredrik Nielsen at the moment.
I'm sure if they got to work on the consistency, then Twister will be right on the tail of Bono Ruiz. But right now Bono is still just driving to perfection once again here. He hasn't put a foot wrong really all race. He was cooped up behind Patrick de Witt quite comfortably for the first stint, and now he's got himself in clean air and 1.6 second clear of Fredrik Nielsen. And Rainer Room is also 18 seconds off the lead, but again he's 5 seconds away from a three-way battle, so we could even see a four-car train going into the final few stages of the race, as Morgan Morand is trying to defend now against Aksel Kirchhoff rather than attack Patrick de Witt, which is not what he wants, because these are all three very, very aggressive drivers who would like nothing more than to score some valuable points for their team and aid. Oh, and Kirchhoff's crashed! Kirchhoff's lost a wheel! Aksel Kirchhoff's out of the way, so I'm not sure if you caught that. I'll watch the replay now. He's going up the sandhill in the slipstream of Morgan Morand, and he just came in too deep, I think, on the exit, and he just took out his wheel, I think. Yeah, he did. That's a massive shunt there for Aksel Kirchhoff. He came in too deep into the entrance to Casino Square, and the car has just flown into the air and hit the other barrier, and of course the wheel's gone off. So we're down to 9 competitors now in the Formula Sim Racing World Championship, and Kirchhoff won't be very happy with that.
No, that's one of those things that can happen in Monaco. You must imagine what he did was he was maybe 3 centimeters different line to what he did all the time before, and that is what puts you in the barriers here in Monaco. Very unfortunate for Aksel Kirchhoff.
So we're now down to just 9 competitors in the Monaco Grand Prix. It's a very low number. We always predicted there were going to be some accidents, but not quite as many as this, I don't think. So the guys that are out of the race then, Aksel Kirchhoff is out, Rasmus Tali and Mikko Piemelainen are out of the race for McCourt Racing. Jack Keithley is also out. John Eric Saxon had a suspension problem, as did Stephen Rule, Lucas Euler, David Dominguez and Marco Conti, all tied up in accidents in the first couple of laps. So let's see if Morand can still, because now Morand has got a bit of a he can breathe a sigh of relief now, because Aksel Kirchhoff has gone off his tail, and now he can just focus completely, instead of defending, on attacking Patrick de Witt. So he's got one thing on his mind, and that is taking a podium position away from the fast and speed driver.
Yeah, Nielsen with another fastest lap, 12.2, and the two leaders are driving 1 second faster almost than the group behind them. And Rainer Room, although having clear air in 5th, he cannot get closer to the Witt. Morand is actually falling apart again.
Well, Jesse Rainer Room did pick up an injury, as we've said earlier, in his football match, so he's not going to be at his absolute best, but nonetheless he's driving in a 5th position, which is still very respectable, and he's kept away from all the carnage and goings on around the Monaco circuit. So 32 laps into this race, and a familiar face leading. It's Bono Ruiz who's in control of the race once again. So it'll be interesting to see if there is a second stop just how close Frederick Nilsson can get to Bono Quiz, and maybe even leapfrogging during the pits. But to do that, he's going to need some more consistency with the very quick lap times he's doing at the moment, and we'll see later on during the race if he can maybe pull the gap back to Bono. But right now, Bono once again reigning supreme in that position. And right now we have with us Frederick Nilsson's teammate, Atsay Kirchhoff. So Atsay, tell us exactly just what wrong there. So we have some technical difficulties at the moment with the mic, so we'll try and hear from Atsay as soon as we can.
Hello.
There he is. So tell us what exactly went wrong then.
Well, everything went wrong in Q2. I had a super setup and I felt super good on this track. But unfortunately, we are all using TeamSpeak, and something horribly went wrong because I heard everybody commentating on my microphone, on my headphones, so I couldn't hear anything of my engine, and it was very horrible. So completely messed up that lap. I couldn't drive at all. So well, that was P8, and on Monaco P8 is most of the time not good. So at the start had some battles, and I think I hit a Netrek's car. He clipped the ball, and then he full into me, and my car was completely ruined. After that, it was uncontrollable. I was bumping every wall I came close to, and it was just unbearable. And then somewhere lap 25, it clipped the invisible wall, and it was the end of the race.
So how do you feel about the gap to Bono then? Do you see Twister getting ever closer again, or is Bono, do you think, going to reign supreme over your teammate today?
Well, I don't know the standings at the moment, but I'm pretty sure we had the pace to beat the positions. And well, Bono is obviously very quick. I don't know how Frederick is doing. I hope he's doing well. He was equally quick as me. So can you maybe what's the gap?
It's 2.037 seconds at the me. So
there you go.
Too
Well,
bad, he's hanging in there.
I hope he can come closer and get some good points for Twister. We need the points. I feel bad for the team. We had a good setup. We had a good week in practice. I enjoyed every lap on this track until the race started. And well, next time is. I don't know even what track it is, but next race will be much better. Sure.
Okay, well, thanks for your time, Atsay, and I'm sure that Twister will be back and better than ever for Montreal.
All right, no problem. Oh yeah, it's Canada. Well, see you in Canada. I'll see ya. Bye.
So back to the race. So it's Bono Quiz that's still leading. He's 2.078 now, in front of Frederick Nilsson, who's still hanging in there. So we're down to 9 remaining drivers, and of course Kirchhoff's crash meant that Jim Parisis moves up to P9 in the go speed. So even though he's a lap down, if he keeps driving like he is, and more drivers fall victim to Monaco's unforgiving nature, then maybe he can finish even higher.
Yep, and Patrick DeWitt has just done a new personal best time, 12.7, which is almost on the level of the two leaders, Hues and Nilsson, who are doing 12 mids almost every lap. And Nilsson, as we said before, he can follow Bono concerning the lap time most of the time, but sometimes it's just falling off every other lap, and that's what adds up the gap. It's 2.2 seconds now.
Yeah, and DeWitt setting that kind of pace is now pulling away from Morgan Moran in the ATL Silverline. The gap between them is around 2 seconds-ish, so... So Monaco claim yet another car today then. We just have 9 remaining. Those 9 are Bono Quiz, Frederick Nilsson, Patrick DeWitt in 3rd place, clinging onto a podium position at the moment. Morgan Moran 4th, Wayne Roon is in 5th place. Mohamed Patel we haven't spoke much of in the other ATL Silverline. 6th. They've done a supreme job this weekend. Disney's 7th. Jaakko Mikkonen is in P8. Jim and Paris is 9th. And then the rest have not finished the race. So it's on the race front at the moment. No major battles going on as we almost get towards the halfway point. We're past the halfway point now, so half the race is done, half to go. It's time to see if Fredrik Nilsson can try and put a bit of pressure on. He's down to 2.045 now between him and Bono Huis. So there's a big look there for Patrick Levitt, and Marango's sideways there on the exit of the final corner. He's back going again now, but he did have a bit of an incident. I think it's just he's losing the back end of the car. It's obviously got a bit of issue there. He's pushing too hard in the ATL Silverline car, and he's 2 seconds now away from Patrick Levitt's 3rd position. So we'll see if he can catch up to him. But right now it's all looking pretty calm for once, which you don't really hear very often at a Monaco Grand Prix. But all the cars are quite a way off. But Fredrik Nilsson is gaining ever closer to Bono Huis, so that's very good for him. He's driving very, very well at the moment. You can see Bono Huis there just a bit in front of him. So Fred, that should give him some motivation to push in around this unforgiving Monaco track. Let's see what the gap is then at the end of lap 38. There's 2.019, so he's gaining a lot closer. He's just chipping away that lead every lap now, every sector. He's getting around 0.01 closer. So Fredrik Nilsson is gradually pulling back that lead towards Bono Huis. It's 1.8 now, so Nilsson then really on a charge. He's not going to let him with this, and I think we could see an interesting fight towards the end of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, and this is typical for such a battle. Bono Huis against Ever. They are pretty much equal on pace, but you always have the feeling, if you watch Bono and if you watch his opponent, you always have the feeling that Bono could go half a second faster if he wants to, because he looks so planted. He does have a lock-up every now and then. If you look at Nilsson, he's really on the edge, whereas Bono is just, it looks like he's on a coffee drive, really, and that is the depressing thing for the other drivers. They are on pace, mostly, or sometimes at least, but they are by far not as consistent, because they always have to be at 101% of the limit to be at the pace of Bono, and that makes it very difficult.
Yeah, so Fredrik Nilsson though, he's still pulling away. The gap down to 1.6, just over 1.5 seconds separate Twister and Petition at the moment, and that 1.5 seconds could stop Bono Huis from making it 7 out of 7 here in the Formula SimRacing World Championship 2011. So the gaps again all still pretty far away. That's probably the closest battle on field, Huis and Nilsson, so I think we'll stay with that one.
Right, here's an example of what I just mentioned. Bono, his last lap was a 12.8, which is a poor lap time in his regard. So after he's done that, the next sector 1 time was a 19.6, which was 2 or 3 tenths faster than anyone on the track. So he can just dictate pace like he wants. So he's at the moment in perfect control of this race, I think.
So is it then? Going to have to do, instead of 110%, he's going to have to do around 150 if he wants to try and catch Bono Huis anytime soon. Because if Bono Huis is making mistakes out there, and I saw him coming out the exit of the swimming pool, and he just got a bit too wide there. It wasn't too costly, it was around 1/10 of a second, but he made it back up in the next sector. So you see what you mean. He's driving at a very comfortable pace, but when he's to push, he'll push. He's kind of like, he reminds me of Kimi Räikkönen when he drove. He was a pretty kind of laid-back driver, but when he had to push, he would push like mad. So, and that's why he's leading the race right now, and he's also a world champion.
Yes, and that's of course the best situation you can have. Be at the front, just control the pace. Actually, I think it was in China. When I was racing myself, and I wasn't at the top, but I could see the fastest lap times all the time, of course, on the display. And whenever somebody did a new fastest time, Bono would go a tenth quicker to set a new fastest time. Then anyone else would again go quicker, and the next lap again would go a tenth or two quicker. So he can basically just control his own pace, and you just have the feeling he could go as a rocket to the moon, I think.
He's very much in control. The gap's still evenly around, consistent around 1.3 seconds. I'm not sure who's got the fastest lap of the race. I think it's Bono Quiz, probably. Although, so Frederick Nilsson's last lap was a 1:12.275, as opposed to Bono Quiz's last lap, which was a 1:12.879. But he's had the fastest lap. He did a 1:12.3. So they're getting ever closer to that 1:11 mark. So around 37 laps left here. 36 laps left here in Monaco. 36 more times Frederick Nilsson has to try and get closer to the back of that Precision Motorsports car. And there's a car getting back on the racing line there. I believe that's Jim Parisis then. No, it is Jaakko Mykkänen, yeah. So Jaakko Mykkänen has been lapped by his teammate Bono Quiz. I'm sure he's not used to seeing that very often. Of course, he's in the Asharo F1. He's not driving for Precision this weekend, which is an odd occurrence. We've had quite a few odd occurrences this weekend, including 3 Matt Court racing cars on the grid. But nonetheless, I think Jaakko will be a bit caught out by that, being lapped by his teammate.
Yeah, I think we could say Jaakko obviously was far off the pace during testing, and this is probably the reason for why they just put him out of the team, let him race for Ash Aero F1 instead of the main Precision team, because he's just not on the pace of his teammates.
And Morgan Moran is around 6 seconds behind Patrick de Witt at the moment. Well, 4 seconds even. And you can see that as they enter Mirabeau and on the penultimate corner, all the lock-up marks and all the skids of where the tyres have just gone flat, and they've just got flat spots on them now. So the drivers are pushing so hard to try and catch the car in front of them, and it's actually taking them time, in fact, when they're just pushing too hard. See what the gap is then after lap 43 between the two leaders. It's 1.386, so again it's pretty stable at around a 1.3. So and Frederick Nilsson there, I'm not sure if you saw, as he went through Sandavoort, he just took a bit of the curb there. I'll try and watch it on the replay if he got too deep into corner or no. Well, he just went sideways as he bounced over the curb. But they go through Mirabeau now, then into the tunnel. And again, I think Frederick Nilsson may have some problems there. He's noticing a bit of oversteer here. Is it just me, or is there a bit of problem?
Yeah, he was just sliding out of Poitiers into the tunnel. And he's just pushing very hard, like you mentioned before. He's just trying to follow Bono. The gap is going up to 1.9 just because of that one mistake, which Bono never makes. So that's exactly the difference. Frederick has to push. Oh, look at this, sliding through.
Is it lagging?
I don't think it's lagging. I think he's just pushing very, very hard and just overdriving the car at the moment. And the gap is going up to 2 seconds now.
Once again, connection issues have struck me. I've lagged out with the server, so I'll try to provide you live timings and all the sector times, while Dennis will cover all the action on the track.
Okay, now I understand what you meant with lag. Very unfortunate there. Now, who is in? Nilsson just getting past Disley. Let's see if Disley gets out of the way for Nilsson as well. Being sister teammates. Yes, he does. So, a quick run through the order. Bono, who is in first. Nilsson 1.6 seconds behind in second. Patrick de Witt 21 seconds behind the leader in third. Morgan Moran another 3 seconds behind him in fourth. Rainer Room in fifth. Mohamed Patel in sixth. And then the lap cars, Blair Disley in seventh. Jaakko Mykkänen in eighth. And Jim Parisis in ninth. And our last runner on the track. And I'm pretty sure Parisis was also involved in this first lap incident, but he survived it somehow and is gonna go for a points finish.
Look at that, Bono Quis just does the session best in Sector 1. That's a 19.6, and the times have lit up purple there, and that's 0.248 quicker than Frederick Nielsen, so he's really on a roll at the moment.
Yep, so Liam, one more pit stop to come. We are in lap 46 out of 78 now, and that is going to be Nielsen's only chance, of course. He can barely follow Bono Quis on the track, so the only chance is to stay close and then leapfrog him during the pits, but that's not really, that's rather the strength, Bono, to leapfrog someone, as we saw in Barcelona. He did it there with Frederick Nielsen, and it's going to be very hard in any case. Morand is in the pit lane, so he introduces the second round of pit stop. And here we go.
So let's see
Quick stop.
Let's see if Rainer Room can capitalise then. I think he might be a bit far off though. Yeah, so Rainer Room's got past him then, so Room up to 4th again, but I'm sure he'll have to stop twice.
Yeah, and now let's see if Patrick de Witt is going to react to this. He was 3 seconds ahead of Morand. So let's see if he pits this lap or anytime soon.
So if you look as well, we have the 3 of the 9 cars left have been lapped. Of course, in the World Trophy earlier, everyone up to 2nd place had been lapped, and that was very good. Of course, Edward Malorky taking the win here. Mohamed Patel, we do have 2 Monaco race winners then amongst us, with Mohamed Patel and Bono Quis, who are still driving very well at the moment. Patel is driving very consistently. His best time is a 1:13.113, which Bono Quis, well, Frederick Nielsen has the fastest lap of the race, a 1:12.275. But look at Morand's tyres, the decision was right to pit in. He's done the fastest Sector 2 time of anyone, a 33.819, and that will surely give him some confidence to retake the place back that Rainer Room just took from him.
Yes, he certainly will, and well, he's just 2 seconds behind Room, so he will take him anyway, I believe. And Patrick de Witt, he's got that window of 3 seconds gap he had to Morand, so he does have a few more laps if he wants to, but then he really has to pit because Morand is the fastest car on the track at the moment.
And Frederick Nielsen's in the pits.
Yes, he is. Well spotted there.
And also is Blair Isley as well. I think it's pretty good considering I can't actually see what's going on. So Frederick Nielsen then, it's going to be on a short-term advantage though. So let's see when if he can start pulling the back gap to Bono Quis and possibly leapfrogging. But I don't think it's going to be good enough because I think Quis was just have so much of an advantage now. He's in a much cleaner air. He can just cruise along and he knows when he has to push, and I'm sure he'll put some extra effort then. As you said earlier, he can just kind of control he can really control the pace of how fast these guys catch up to him. If they see them going up to him a bit too fast, he'll put the hammer down and bring the gap back up again.
Yeah, he will have to push now, and he will have to pit now. I'm pretty sure the gap was 1.5. He cannot afford to stay out for too long. A reasonably good Sector 2 time for Bono, and he is going to pit. Yes, he does. So, oh, look at this! A bit of a problem there on the pit entry. Now, may that have cost him the lead? We'll soon find out, as Bono Quis is in the pit lane. A quick stop as usual, but one slight mistake. Is it going to be enough for Frederick Nielsen? As Bono Quis is about to exit the pit lane. And here we go. Nielsen is behind Mikkonen in the background. And it's enough for Quis, we think. Yes, it is. Quis takes the lead again, or he stays in the lead, we should say. And he's even got Mikkonen in between himself and Nielsen.
I'd say he got a bit of a lucky escape there, but I'm sure Nilsson now may just have an advantage. He's got slightly fresher tyres. Bono's going to have to warm them up for a lap or so. So if Nilsson's going to have to make a move on him, he's got to do it quite soon, while Bono is at a slight disadvantage.
And DeWitt has been in the pits as well, and he rejoined ahead of Morant, but the gap is no more 3 seconds, it's just 1 second. So that was just in time for the pit stop there for Patrick DeWitt.
So the running order then, Bono Huis midway through the second round of stops is leading from Fredrik Nilsson, but only just after quite a scruffy pit entry it seems. Patrick DeWitt is up to 3rd place, so in his podium spot once again. Morgan Moran though is just over a second behind him. Rainer Room is 5th, Mohamed Patel 6th, Meekinen 7th, Diz 8th, and Jim Paresis is in 9th, rounding out the rest of the runners. So we're 49 laps into this race. So, so nearly 3/4 of the way there now. So Bono's just got a quarter of the way to try and make it stick and make sure he secures another win here in Formula Sim Racing and makes it his 7th in a row. That's got to be quite some achievement for him.
Absolutely, but it's not over yet. About 28 and a half laps to go in Monaco, and as we know and as we've seen already in this race, anything can happen. But of course Bono is very, very, very complete driver, as it's been called in the racing language.
It's kind of an all-in-one package, really knows when to push. But one man who's also on the push at the moment is Patrick DeWitt. His last lap was the fastest of the entire race, a 1:12 flat. So 1 minute 12.066, just off the 1 minute 11 mark, and he's starting to put a bit of pressure on Fredrik Nilsson now. So let's see if Patrick DeWitt can perhaps start putting pressure on. He's at 0.2 slower though than Nilsson through the first sector, and Bono Huis does the 1 minute 11.9 to the first man to break into the 1 minute 11s, and he is pushing like crazy, not having to defend, and he's just on top of his game at the moment.
Yeah, so in fact we might have been wrong with the mentioning of Patrick DeWitt's tyre choice then. If that is the case, apologies for that, but it looks like DeWitt is on a pretty normal tyre then, because he's doing 2 stops like everybody else, and he's not falling. He hasn't fallen off in the second stint compared to the first one, so he is probably on the same tyres as everybody else, which of course makes his Q2 lap time, his qualifying time, even more worth.
And sort of thing here that's going on between Huis and Nilsson, the kind of anything you can do, I can do better. Bono Huis did the fastest lap of the race at 1:11.927. Fredrik Nilsson betters it by just around 0.04, so it's a 1:11.875, and he's just done the fastest time in Sector 1. So the gap down to 1.3, and he's really on a push now, giving Huis maybe a run, and he's not going to let him run away with this.
Yep, and Patel is going to be the next car to lap. No, that can't be right, because Patel is out, isn't he? Where is he? No, he's in 6th, of course. Sorry. So he's going to be lapped very soon. And also Morand is very close behind DeWitt now. Just, what is this, 3/10 of a second into the harbour chicane. And of course, the longer Morand has to wait, the bigger his tyre disadvantage will get, because DeWitt has the fresher tyres, which will be a better situation for him as the final stint unfolds.
And again, Fredrik Nilsson with the best time. Bono Huis did the anything you can do, and he did a 1:11.734, but once again Fredrik Nilsson bettered it with a 7:04. And again, he's done the fastest sector time in sector 1. The gap down to 1.2 now. He's 0.2 seconds quicker through the first sector. Fredrik Nilsson is on a lightning charge at the moment. Monaco surely must recognise this and must have to step up the pace. And he's a bit slower in sector 2. He's around a 10th off.
And Patel is still ahead of him. So, and even though Huis has not been blocked by Patel, it's enough that Patel is in his sight. It's enough to make you slower just a little bit. And he will hope to clear him rather sooner than later. But he cannot pass here through the Lowe's part. Oh, look at this. That is very risky there for Patel himself, but he's done it. A very wide line through Lowe's, which is a full lock corner. Very difficult to give way there.
And of course, so that meant that that might have given Fredrik Nilsson a bit of a run. Again, he's quicker in sector 1 and 19.4. Last lap he was quicker again by around 0.04, so he's still charging, he's still after Bonaquis. And he wants that race victory, he's hungry to try and bring the car home. And he's a bit slower in the second sector though. Blair Disney does his personal best last lap at 1:12.918. All drivers in the 1 minute 12s now except for Jaakko Mikkonen and Jim Parisis, who are still in the mid 1:13s.
Yeah, so we have two very hot battles. Bonahuis against Fredrik Nilsson for the lead, and then for third place Patrick De Witt and Morgan Moran. They are 30 seconds behind the lead, but it is a fight for the final podium position. And if anything happens up front, I mean, of course, it could still be for the race win, theoretically. So it's going to be interesting to see this.
Session sector 1 and in sector 2 as well, so he's lit up the screen purple. He's done a 33.6, just 0.4 quicker than Fredrik Nilsson's previous time. So we're on, I believe, out of 78, so getting closer towards the end of the race now.
11.6, that was a monster lap there for Bono, who is half a second faster than Fredrik Nilsson, and the gap is back up to 1.5. So, like I said before, he can just do whatever he wants. Bono, who is be quick, be mediocre, and still he's the quickest man on track in any case. He can just control the pace. At least it looks like it. He said after Barcelona it was a pretty hard race for him. Whole race directly ahead of Nilsson, but I'm fairly sure he perfect control of that one, just like he's here.
Yeah, again, he's just stepping up the pace when he needs to. He's done the personal best and the session best last lap at 1:11.6, which is an absolute blistering time, and that's a lot quicker than Fredrik Nilsson's past lap. That's around a 0.6 seconds quicker. He's 1.5 the gap now, but Fredrik Nilsson did the quickest in sector 2. So these two constantly swapping fastest lap times and sector times, so they're very evenly matched, but Fred, every time he gets closer, Bono just adds that little more energy into his racing and just pulls the gap up even further.
Now Nilsson came back on him, 11.6 now for him as well. Bono just 11.9, and now let's have a look at the next lap of Bono, if he can respond again.
So yeah, so Fredrik just did his session best, so these two constantly swapping times, and the lead will be around the same then, and it'll be evened out. bit slower in the first sector, and a 0.2 quicker in the second, so Nilsson's still trying to claw back at him. Meanwhile, elsewhere on the track, the gaps are pretty much away, except for Moran, who's 1.3 seconds behind Morgan Moran. No, Moran is 1.3 seconds behind Patrick de Witt, I'm sorry. So.
And now you can see Bono in the lowest corner. It doesn't look like he's too comfortable there for once. He is sliding every other time there through this slowest corner of the Monaco track. And the gap is under a second now. It hasn't been like that for the last 30 laps, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so perhaps this could be the time of change then as Fredrik Nilsson begins to come back on him. Gap down to 0.8 now. So Nilsson's still on a charge. Let's see if Bono can respond and try and keep the lead. But I think it's going to be very hard to do so with Fred charging like he is. He's like a man on a mission at the moment. And that mission's to not only win the Monaco Grand Prix, but finally start the times of change in Formula Sim racing, and perhaps start a time of a new era where Bono isn't winning all the time. So it's either going to be able to break the spell of Bono and these kind of Vettel-esque performances he's having, or is Bono once again going to be able to dominate? The only way we're going to find out is watching the rest of the Monaco Grand Prix and see what happens.
Yeah, it is really strange to see this in a way, because Bono, his fastest lap was at 11.6, and now he's driving half a second slower again. The question is, are tyres heating up too much? Is he overdriving the car? Is he feeling the pressure from Nilsson, which he had anyway since the whole race basically? So with Bono, you can never know. If he's playing with Nilsson, just letting him come a little closer. And now look at this, 11.5. I think the latter is. He can do whatever he likes.
Yeah, he's very much in control of the Grand Prix, so it's all up to him. The whole fate of the Grand Prix will rest on his hands. In the fate of that young man, we just have to see whether he can do it or no.
And meanwhile, the battle for third has calmed down slightly. De Witt and Moran about 2 seconds apart from each other now. Fifth is still Rainer Room, but he's 20 seconds behind Moran. Sixth is Disley, a lap down, as is Patel in seventh, Mikkonen in eighth. Paris is in ninth, the last runner active on the track, we should say. Many drivers have retired. Kirchhoff, Talley, Pumaline, Keithley, Saxon, Ruold, Euler, Dominguez and Conti are all out Grand Prix, and most of them in the first lap.
Yeah, and Bono has set the fastest lap again at 1:11.517. So he's really putting the pressure on. But Nilsson has went a lot quicker that last lap. He did a 1:11.587 as opposed to Bono's 1:11.889. So these two constantly getting closer, further apart. It's like we get closer and then just drift back a bit and then get closer again. So it'll be interesting to see just how close they will be before the end of the race. And Bono just goes fastest in Sector 1, a 19.458. So that's this little line up purple there, if you're following this on the live timing.
And interestingly, Patrick de Witt has just set a new personal best time, 11.9. He's perfectly within the range of the leaders in terms of lap time. Of course, he's 31 seconds back, but he is able to do the same times.
Yeah, so that, you never know, we might see a very late twist in the tail if Patrick de Witt can catch back up to Fredrik Nilsson.
No, I'm sorry, but not really. 30 seconds is just a bit too much. Now, let's have a look at this. Bono is 11.6, Fredrik Nilsson 11.6. Same lap time, 0.8 of a second is the gap. And but really, Nielsen just has to hope for a mistake. He cannot overtake. He's just not quick enough. He might be as quick as Bono if he pushes it, but to overtake in Monaco, you have to be like 2 seconds quicker if you really want to go for it. And that is obviously not the case. So he can only win this race if Bono makes some sort of mistake, or if his engine's up, brakes give up, whatever. But under normal circumstances, he's not going to get through there.
But of course, this is Monaco, and we've seen Hans changing the lead in just, you know, a few laps to go here, because of course Canet in the World Series had a very big issue and lost his engine with 7 laps to go. Hopefully Huis won't suffer the same fate, or no one else will, because it'd be such a catastrophic feeling as just getting so close towards the end and just having it all taken away from you. But this is Monaco, and this is what the track can do to the cars, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. So the fastest lap time then for Bonacuisi is a 1:11.517, as opposed to Fredrik Nielsen's 1:11.587. So, but the gap is down to 0.7 seconds. So he's still there. He's still right on him. But it's just a question of whether he can come back and capitalise and wait and pray for a mistake by Bonacuisi, or whether maybe Nielsen can just find it somewhere to go. Would you, if you were in Fredrik Nielsen's position, you saw a opportunity, would you risk it all for an overtake, or would you just try and wait for a mistake?
No, like I said, you cannot, you just can't overtake. If he was going to go for an overtaking maneuver, it would be a crash. It would be a kamikaze move, which you just cannot do if you want to stay out of trouble from the race director. So he just can't overtake, and of course, especially with the he always has a very good traction out of corners. And he's had that last year, he's got it this year, and it's part of that is to the setup of his car and of his team, and the other part is due to his driving style. Very, very controlled, hits the lines perfectly, which of course always gives him an ideal exit out of the slow corners, which is perfect on it like this. And that of course makes it even more difficult for the driver behind to really stay close on a straight like this, breaking into the harbour chicane. You can see this, Nielsen is just not close enough. Even if it would be 3/10, it would still not be close enough. He would have to be side by side with him at the braking zone, which is by far not the case. So at the moment, I just cannot see an overtaking move going on here.
So we're on lap 64, so it's just a few more laps to go here, around 14 laps, and then it's all over here in Monaco, and there's just 9 cars on the track. Hopefully all those 9 cars will finish. But Monaco's already claimed the cars of many drivers, those being Atse Kirchhoff, Rasmus Tali, Puma Leinen, Jack Keithley, John-Eric Saxton, Stephen Rule, Lucas Euler, David Dominguez, and Marco Conti. And yeah, those are some of the biggest names in this Formula SimRacing World Championship who've just been caught out by, you know, this unforgiving nature of the track. So it's a skill to finish Monaco, you know, without crashing and just finish your Grand Prix. 78 laps, this is so hard. But to finish winning the race as well, like Bonacuisi is doing, it's just got to be such an achievement. You can't take it away from him. He's probably the best driver in this league at the moment.
Next car to lap is Jaakko Mikkonen for the 2nd time, which is surely not a pleasure for the flying Finn. Not so much flying today. Let's have a look. He lets them both through in Raskas. Good move there from Mikkonen.
So Mikkonen might get a bit annoyed with that then. That's the 2nd time he's seen his teammate drive past him for position, and we'll also try and get to the bottom of why there were 3 Matt Court racing cars starting on the grid, and still not too clear on that one.
Yeah, it's a bit strange with these Finns, especially with Mikkonen. Usually it's hop or top, and today it's rather hop. Really a horrible pace there from Mikkonen, but it could all change again for the next one, and he could almost win it again if it wasn't for Bono.
Yeah, and also Other thing as well, Morgan Moran and Patrick de Witt, that's probably the second closest battle on the track, the only two that probably could end up do very, very aggressive drive. So de Witt then, P3, he's got a, he's right out of his hands, so if Moran forces de Witt into a mistake, or de Witt, you know, may push too hard, as we've seen him do before and have a major slide, that could open the door for Moran, and Moran could start pulling back on de Witt and fight for a podium position. These are two of the most aggressive drivers in the league, and I'm sure that if those two got into another fight, then it will be very entertaining to watch as Fredrik Nilsson does the fastest time in Sector 1. So he's again trying to claw back at the lead Bono has. There's still plenty of time for Fredrik Nilsson to get close enough to make a manoeuvre on Monaco. Let's see what the time is when they go through Sector 2.
Yeah, let's put it this way. Bono has got the fastest lap of the race at the moment, so no reason to go quicker until somebody is beating it. That pretty much sums it up, I guess.
Yeah, so Nilsson was slower through the second, but we'll have to see what the final gap is at the end of the third sector, because of course he may have made a bigger gain or a bit of a bigger loss. Yeah, and he's actually made a gain then through the final sector. The laps start ticking down now. It's ever closer, and I'll tell you what, these will be the longest 9 or 10 laps of Bono's life. It's the Monaco Grand Prix, and it's probably the most endurance race on the FSR calendar. It will take so much of the driver, both physically and mentally. You have to be 100% focused all of the time. It's so unforgiving. If you just lose concentration for a split second, there's just no room for error, and next thing you know, your car will be embedded in an Armco barrier. So you have to try and stay focused, and that's what Bono's doing now. He's trying to keep Fredrik Nilsson at bay, and he's doing so quite successfully at the moment, although Fredrik Nilsson is going slightly quicker.
Nilsson almost in the barriers there, out of the final corner, clipping the curb very, very hard. That's not what you want to do, especially after what happened to his teammate at Kirkhoff earlier in the race. Just clipping the barrier slightly, and the car breaks apart completely. Gap is back up to 1 second, and well, a few more laps to go, and we'll see. I think there's at least one more back marker to lap. And this could be decisive.
We've seen it. That will be the one.
Yeah, we've seen it. I think last year a couple of times in the World Series, I believe, with Cyril Wertmüller leading the race for precision there, and then got stuck because of a spin of a back marker and lost the win, if I remember correctly. Now again, we don't want to curse anybody, but it's Monaco, and anything can still happen, even with just a few more laps to go.
Yeah, almost at the 70 lap mark now. So it's looking good, and Rainer Riemstar doing some personal best now. His best times are 1:12.6, and that was his previous lap as well. So he's a bit too far off Morgan Moran for a move. He's around 34 seconds away. And Moran is losing time to de Witt as well. So it looks for the moment then that it's going to be Bono Cuisse who will take the win from Fred Nilsson and Patrick de Witt, unless something changes.
Jim Parisi's just been lapped then for the 4th time. He is in 9th and last position, but of course he's going to get 2 points out of this race if he makes it to the finish, and he's within 90% race distance as well, so that is going to get him championship points, and he will happily take these, although of course it wasn't a very pleasant evening for him, but still 2 points is better than nothing. But his car is definitely heavily damaged from the looks of it. He's very slow, isn't he?
Yeah, the lap times are still a bit suffering as well. So we're on lap 70 now, just 8 more laps. The Bono Cuisse, he's driven Another perfect race here. He was tucked up behind De Vit for the first stint, and a bit of a scuffy entrance to the pit stop again, but still came out in the lead, and he's led ever since. But we've got to say, really, I think Patrick De Vit, over these past couple of races, has really established himself as probably a title contender. He's constantly up there, splitting the twisters, fighting with current world champion Bono Huis, and he's got the experience here in FSR, so there's no reason why he can't be, so hats off to that man. Meanwhile, Bono Huis does a fastest time in Sector 1, a 19.386, and that's quite a bit quicker than Fredrik Nilsson's last time. And then, so he's going quicker than Nilsson, than Huis now. So Huis is going quicker than Nilsson, I'm sorry. So the gap was down to 0.6. So again, this is also a kind of reflection on Catalonia. The same scenario happened. Nilsson got a bit closer, but couldn't quite get close enough to pull off a move. So he may have to settle for 2 races in a row here to the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, and there's one more car to lap. As we mentioned before, it's going to be Rainer Room. He's a few seconds ahead of Huis and Nilsson, and they're 1 second a lap quicker than Rainer Room, and there's just a couple more laps to go, so I think they will meet towards maybe the final lap, and that would make things very interesting. The good sign, though, to take out of this Grand Prix for all non-precision drivers is that Bono is just in the lead by half a second instead of 25 seconds like last year. So if there is some positives to take away from this race, then it's this fact. It was close for the victory, and it's not over yet, of course, so it's promising for the next event. Wister, of course, has been saying since 3 or 4 races that they are going to win very soon, and we have to wait and see if it happens here or if we have to wait at least 2 weeks longer.
Of course, yeah, the next race is Montreal. It's another street circuit, and in the region of Canada. It's on a man-made island, and of course the most famous corner there, Champions Wall. And would that claim a world champion here of Bono Huis? So only time will tell, but you can see that live on www.psrtv.com in a few weeks' time as Fredrik Nilsson does another fastest sector time of 19.3. The gap down to 0.6, so these two still hot in pursuit, but I just don't think he's got quite enough to make a move on him just yet. We're nearing the end of the race now. There's 4 more laps to go, but Fredrik Nilsson is still going quicker. So it's not over until that checkered flag falls. We've said that many times, but it's so true, and we've seen that in previous races here in FSR.
Yeah, and I might have to rethink again what I said before, because half a second is, even for Bono, too small of a gap, I think. A bit of an unsafe gap, I would call it, even on a track like Monaco, where you can't really pass, but half a second is really not much. And maybe he really is on the limit. I almost dare to say it, but well, we have to see. A few more laps to go, and Rainer Room still inside, ahead of us.
So not long to go, another gap, just half a second then between Nilsson and Bono Huis. The times are tumbling though. It's at 1 minute 11s now, the drivers are going in. Patrick De Vit has got himself into the 1 minute 11s as well. So the top 3 all looking very pacey this weekend in Monaco.
Three laps remaining. 1 more back marker remaining. It's Bono who is leading ahead of Fredrik Nilsson in the Monaco Grand Prix 2000 and the 11. De Wit is still third, ahead of Morand in fourth. Rainer Room about to be lapped in fifth. Disley in sixth. Patel in seventh. Ikonen in eighth, and Paris is in ninth and last.
See, so Jim Paris is he's 4 laps down from the leaders, but you've got to say in that Ghost Speed car he's driven another great race. Ghost Speed inside the top 10, they're in ninth, albeit there's only 9 cars running, but still that's a fantastic result, and that will give them some much deserved points towards their World Championship drive, because right now the team standings they're on just 1 point at the moment then. So that will give them a couple more to bring them up to a total of 3, I believe. So it'll give them a bit of confidence knowing that they do have the pace. But it looks like Precision are going to take even more points today then. So they'll be up to 250 in total. And Bono Quiz would be up to 175. And Frederick Nilsson would get very close and I think overtake Jakob Ikonen for second place. So quite a few shuffling around in the point standings at the moment then, if the race finishes like it is now.
Yes, and as you said that, they just passed Rainer Room. Very good driving there from Room, just letting them go. And that was maybe the last chance for Nielsen, which has now passed. 1.5 more laps to go. Let's just go on board with Nielsen and follow him through these final kilometers on Monaco and see if there's any more chances to get this victory. Or can Bono Huis make it 7 out of 7, which would be even more of a record? He's got the record already of 6 out of the first 6 race wins. Final lap now in Monaco. Huis leads, Nielsen second. 8/10 is the gap as we go up to Casino Square through Massenet and down the hill towards Mirabeau. No more back marker in sight, it seems. So if Huis can keep it together, he's going to win. Lowe's corner, Huis always locks up there, but he's still quick enough. And now Portier numbers through the tunnel. This is the last official overtaking spot. Now Huis can only lose it if he makes a mistake. Nielsen is not close enough. Towards the back. And into sector 3 we go. Is it going to be Bono's 7th victory out of 7 races? And for the second time, a victory in Monaco. Raskas, Nielsen very close, but it's just not enough. Anthony knows final corner of the Grand Prix, and Bono Huis wins in Monaco. And he's done it. 4/10 is the gap, but Bono Huis wins. Nielsen is...
And that's a fantastic result for the team, even though Nielsen did the fastest lap on the final lap of the race. But what a drive by Bono Huis, from not leaving it too much pressure off himself. He followed De Wit for the whole race and constantly stayed with him, made the move when he had to in the pit stop window and led throughout from there. And again, it was another Vettel drive to perfection, and he makes it 7 out of 7, extending that FSR record. It's Frederick Nielsen's home in second. Patrick De Wit, what a well-deserved result by that young man after qualifying in pole position. Managed to bring it home behind 2 much faster cars, and he bring it home in 3rd place to some more well-deserved point faster than the speed team. Morgan Morand in P4 then in the ATR Silverline, and that's a fantastic result for them, being quick all weekend. Rainer Room in the GTO Mega with another strong result despite having an injury picked up earlier on today. Mohamed Patel in the Silverline looked very strong, and it's another points finish. He's a very good races here this weekend. Disney was 7th, Jakob Ikonen 8th, and Jim Parasis rounded out at the top 10 to pick up 2 points for the Go Speed Racing team. But what a drive by Bono Huis. Who's your driver of the day then, Dennis?
My driver of the day are 9 drivers, the 9 guys who finished this race.
I would say mine probably either Bono Huis or definitely Patrick De Wit, because he's had such a strong weekend, just going through, from qualifying on pole, holding up the world champion without letting the pressure sink in or making any too massive mistakes. And he just did a superb job of holding him up, and then of course bringing home a podium position. So hats off to him and Bono Huis and everyone else that finished the race. As you said, it's big achievement to finish the Monaco Grand Prix, and so all of them finished in the points as well. So it was all. Bono Huis performed fantastically under the pressure from Nilsson. Nilsson was there all race under a second winning for the final stint, and Huis still managed to hold him off, not let it get to him, and just keep driving the hell out of that Precision Motorsports car, and it's paid off. So it's 7 out of 7 for Bono Huis, and from me and Dennis here, massive thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you all in a few weeks' time for Montreal. And so thanks for watching this broadcast, and goodbye.
Bye bye.